Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the second schedule of day one of the Shastri Indo-Canadian virtual lecture series. It is said that a sound mind lives in a sound body, and we at Symbiosis International University cannot agree more. Be it online or offline, Symbiosis has always supported healthy living through the various programs such as Fitness for Life, etc. Thus, we are indeed proud to invite our next speaker, Dr. Boria Majumdar. Dr. Boria Majumdar is a renowned sports journalist and historian. Sir was awarded the Rhodes Scholar in 1999-2000 and went to St. John's College, the University of Oxford, to do a doctorate in philosophy on the social history of Indian cricket. His thesis was nominated for publication in the Oxford Monograph series and published in India by Penguin Viking as the much acclaimed 22 Yards to Freedom, a social history of Indian cricket in December 2004. Sir is a senior research fellow in the School of Sports and Wellbeing at the University of Central Lancashire. In 2021, Dr. Majumdar launched his innovative sports venture, Rev Sports, with backing from multiple corporates. Today, Sir will be sharing with us a few valuable lessons while speaking on the topic, management lessons from the world of sports. We welcome you once again, sir. The stage is all yours.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure being here. And thank you very much to everybody, Dr. Mathur, who I had a chance of interacting with a day back, to my friend Ashok Nambudri, to Shreya, who was also there in that meeting day before yesterday, to Dr. Adya Sharma, to everybody who is part of this meeting. And I see there are about 700 people online. Obviously, Symbiosis, having followed, I have had the chance of interacting with students from your institution in the past as well, and always had the pleasure of checking out young intellect, because that is how the future of a country grows and feels enriched. The subject at hand is management lessons from sport. And the time that I was given was brilliant, 11:27 to 12:12, and you've started a minute early. That's the first management lesson. Interestingly, what I want to do, I think there will be a chat box or somebody can actually moderate and mediate as well. I would want to speak for a particular point in time, and then also take some questions from students and the audience, because that's what is important and can make this chat interactive. In my experience, when you are doing virtual sessions, when you're doing virtual seminars, it is very important to be anecdotal, because unlike a physical meeting, unlike a physical gathering, which unfortunately we are still not able to do because of COVID, it is important to be anecdotal, because then you can weave in multiple lessons through stories. And that's what I plan to do. So this is not a structured talk. I'm not going to do screen share and give you slide by slide and do an academic presentation like a PowerPoint. That is not what I'm going to do, and that is not my intention. I will actually share lessons from my own experience of having been in the world of sport at 3 levels: as an academic, as a researcher, exactly like you all as students, and finally as a journalist and a media person. So let me start with a story from 2011, from the India-Pakistan match at Mohali during the 2011 World Cup semi-final. It was one of the most high-pressured matches in India's cricket history. Just to set the context of that match, it was a World Cup semi-final on Indian soil between India and Pakistan, two of the most intense arch rivals, if I can put it that way, in the field of sport. The 2 prime ministers at that point in time, Manmohan Singh from India, the Pakistani premier, had flown in to watch that particular contest in Mohali. So you can understand the political significance of the encounter when 2 premiers from 2 arch rivals have flown in to watch a particular cricket match. The television rating of that match, and Ashok is a television veteran, was 35.2, one of the highest ever recorded in sporting history. The number of people who watched the television broadcast was in millions, millions as in high millions. So in all senses, the match was a grand spectacle, right? And a lot was riding on that particular encounter for India. If you win the match, you make the World Cup final on home soil. You play the final at the Wankhede, Sachin Tendulkar's dream of winning a World Cup. And before he retired, he played already for 20 plus years, had never won a World Cup. So in every sense, the excitement had built up to a kind of a crescendo. India won that match. All of us remember. Some of you may have been very young at that point in time, but India went on to win that match. And India made the final. Having covered that match, I can tell you the kind of excitement I had seen was unbelievable. Celebrations lasted till about 3 a.m. in the morning. If anybody has been to Mohali or Chandigarh, you will know that there are these intersections where these roundabouts right through the city. And each of those roundabouts were flooded with people. People were celebrating with colors and patakas and lights and sound, and you can just imagine it was a mini Diwali going on in Chandigarh at that point in time in March of 2011. And the celebrations continued till about 3:30. All of us in the media, we covered all of the celebrations. So each one of us were into the moment, right? Next morning, about 7 o'clock, the whole city was quiet because everybody had celebrated till late into the night. Whole city was quiet. I'm an early riser. And obviously I was into the moment. I was writing, I was doing TV. So I got up and I went to the Indian team hotel. And I remember going into the breakfast room of the Indian team hotel. 2 people were having breakfast in that entire hotel lobby and some hotel guests. The 2 people who were having breakfast from among the Indian team was coach Gary Kirsten and his assistant Paddy Upton. Gary Kirsten was the head coach of the Indian team, and Paddy Upton was the high performance analyst of the Indian team. And Gary, I remember, was having his fruit, the cut fruit that you get in hotel breakfasts. And he was having his fruit. I walked up to Gary, who was a very good friend of mine. I walked up to Gary and I told him, what a team you have created. Exact words, what a team you have created. Look at the manner in which we beat Pakistan. And Gary, who was about to pick a small fruit, with his fork, just deposited the fork on the table, looked at me and said, so do you think they're all friends? Again, I say it. He said, so do you think all of these players are friends? And I said, what do you mean? He said, look, anybody who is playing for India at this level will have a huge ego. Anybody who is playing for India at this level is a high performer. The 15 players who are playing for India in a World Cup semi-final are huge achievers in their own right. They don't need to be friends. All I want is when the final catch goes up, whoever is under that ball, whoever out of the 15 is under that ball should take that catch for India. Apart from that, whether they are friends or not, whether they spend social time or not, whether they have dinner with each other or not, whether they have lunch with each other or not, talk with each other or not, spend social time with each other or not, I don't care. That is the first management lesson that you guys need to imbibe from sport. Not everybody out of the 672 people from Symbiosis who are part of this seminar need to be friends. They need not be friends. Each one of you are an achiever. Each one of you will have an ego. Each one of you will have his own or her life vision. But when it comes to this Indo Shastri, this Canadian lecture series, each one of you are representing Symbiosis. That is where you have one identity. And the identity is you are hosting the flag of your institution in front of the world. You need not be friends, folks. You need not be friends. You need not have dinner together or need not exchange WhatsApp chats between each other and be extremely lovey-dovey with each other. No, you need not be. But when you are on show, when you are on display in front of the world, you are particularly representative of one sports team, in this case, Symbiosis. That is the first management lesson that I wish to highlight in front of you. Story number 2. In sport, it is always about glory, right? These players are all right there in front of you, and super achievers and medalists and winners. The point is, if you really want to contribute to a country's sport, you also need to know when to give up on that glory. It is not simply about glory. It is also how to give up on that glory. What do I mean? And I will give you an example from my friend Pullela Gopichand. Now, Pullela Gopichand single-handedly has revolutionized the vista of Indian badminton, or the horizon of Indian badminton. How? 3 points, and you will know. Pullela Gopichand in 2005-06 built his own academy in Hyderabad, taking a loan of 3 crore rupees by mortgaging his own house at a time when his mother was suffering from cancer. You heard it right. That is how Pullela Gopichand contributed to Indian badminton. And that badminton academy today, which had 10 students at that point, has thousands queuing up to be a part of Pullela Gopichand's badminton program. He has given us Saina Nehwal. He has given us PV Sindhu. He has given us multiple medals at the Asian Games level, at the Commonwealth Games level, at other multidiscipline games, and of course the Olympic level with Saina in 2012, with Sindhu in 2016, and again Sindhu in 2020-21. Now this is Pullela Gopichand and his achievements. In Tokyo 2020-2021, Pullela Gopichand was not there. He was not physically there. And I had a chat with Pullela Gopichand just about weeks ago for our platform Rev Sports, based on his autobiography, Shuttler's Flick, which he has just published. And I asked Gopi, I said, you are the national badminton coach. You are the head coach of the Indian national badminton team. Why weren't you there in Tokyo? And he said to me, he said, look, because of COVID, it was, every country was only given a certain quota of officials who can travel with players. So for example, if India had 6 players traveling for badminton, you would have 2 additional support staff who are part of your mix. Something like that, maybe 3. Pullela Gopichand's point was that in our case, it was important that all the players who had gone, PV Sindhu, the men's doubles team, they have their individual coaches. As the national head coach, what is my responsibility first? My responsibility first and foremost is to ensure India has the best chance to win a medal. Whether I am there or not there doesn't matter. So even if I was sitting in Hyderabad and Park, who was Sindhu's personal coach, was there beside her in her corner in Tokyo, it did not matter to Gopi. Gopi was perfectly fine being in the background despite being the national badminton coach, allowing his students to take glory and in turn bring glory for India. The second management lesson from sports, ladies and gentlemen. It is not about thrusting yourself in the forefront and seeking glory. It is about seeking glory in a manner that your country will benefit and not you. It is the macro picture, not the micro. It is the bigger team play, not the individual. The institution, in this case, India, the Indian badminton team, in your case, Symbiosis, is forever bigger than the individual, in this case, Pullela Gopichand. That is the second management lesson that I wish to highlight before you. The third story, and this is one of my favorite stories. Each of us failed. I failed far too many times than maybe some of you. That is always the case. Everybody will. Dr. Adya, however successful she is, Dr. Mathur, however successful he is, Shreya, Ashok, Simit, Anushri, whoever, however many number of people are attending 676 at the moment, each one of us have failed in life. We have made mistakes. We have failed. Take an examination. How many of us have not had a bad examination? Everyone has had. Think of it in life. Each time you have had a bad examination, you have. You cannot tell me that in our careers, which some of us are old enough now. So our careers of 30 years and 40 years of school and college and university and whatever it is, that you've not given a bad exam. You have. So you failed. Now the point is, in academics, when we fail, it is a very personal failure. I have failed. Dr. Adya has not given me a good grade. So I have failed in private. I will mourn in private. I will go back home. I will feel bad about my grade. I will feel unfortunate about my grade. And I will mourn in private. And then what will I do? I will again try to come back, read, study, get back with a better grade the next time round, again in private. It is all very private, right? It's me. Dr. Mathur not doing well is Dr. Mathur not doing well. In sport, it is very different. In sport, when a Sachin Tendulkar gets bowled for 0, he is actually failing in front of 1 billion plus. He has failed in front of 1 billion people watching and consuming him and appropriating Sachin Tendulkar in front of the world. The failure is a public failure, not a private failure. So what happens? The moment Sachin Tendulkar gets bowled for a duck, or a Rohit Sharma gets bowled for a duck in a World Cup, each one of us will start commenting on social media. Each one of us will say whatever we want to, and everybody has seen that action on live TV. So the failure is in front of the world. You cannot shy away from that. Sport is the only thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the only thing in life where the failure is public. Only thing, think about it. It is the only thing in life where the failure is public. So in sport, what happens? And sport is the only thing in life where you get an opportunity to redeem that failure in public again. In Dr. Mathur's case, it will be his personal thing again. He will come back and do a good exam. But in Sachin Tendulkar's case or Rohit Sharma's case, in the next match or the following match, he will get another opportunity to come back and score 100 for India and win that match for India in front of 1 billion people. So the failure in sport is public, and the win in sport, or the success in sport, to redeem yourself from that failure, is also a very public spectacle. That is what sport does, ladies and gentlemen, allows you to fail in public and win in public. And associated with it is the aspect of fandom. And that is the next lesson. What do I mean? Associated with it is the aspect of fandom. In our life, there is one constant, and that constant is change. Today, I am a part of Symbiosis. Tomorrow, I will be a part of Harvard. Today, I want to wear jeans. Tomorrow, I will want to wear a skirt. Today, I love wearing a t-shirt. Tomorrow, I will love to wear a coat or a blazer. Today, I'm wearing a kurta. Tomorrow, I will wear something else. Today, I love to eat Oriental food. Tomorrow, I will want to eat a pizza or a pasta. Everything changes. Families change. You get married into a family. Your relationships change. Relationships break oftentimes. Everything changes in life. Fandom doesn't. If I'm a Sachin Tendulkar fan at the age of 6, I will die a Sachin Tendulkar fan at the age of 80. If you're a Real Madrid fan or a Cristiano Ronaldo fan or a Leo Messi fan at the age of 6, you will die a Leo Messi fan at the age of 80. If you're a Roger Federer fan or a Rafael Nadal fan at the age of 10, Dr. Adya or Dr. Mathur, whoever they love in the world of sport, they will die. All of us will. I will die a Sachin Tendulkar fan at the age of 80. It doesn't change. Fandom, ladies and gentlemen, just like in sport, like I told you, that sport allows you to win in public and fail in public. The only constant in life that sport allows us to grow up with is fandom. And that is the next lesson I wanted to point out. Now coming to another fascinating story. Sport allows you to break barriers, and I will give you two examples. Two examples from two Olympic medalists. Sport allows you to break barriers of a very different kind. The first example I will give you is from, again, two of my good friends. The first one is from a lady called Deepa Malik. Deepa Malik happens to be now the president of the Paralympic Committee of India. India's first female Paralympic medalist in 2016, first ever. She won a silver medal in Rio and created history by doing so. What was started by Deepa Malik in 2016 has now become a revolution of sorts, with India winning 19 medals by sending 54 athletes in Tokyo. So Deepa Malik is my first story. So Deepa, what happened? In 1999 rather, Deepa Malik was diagnosed of a spinal cord tumor. She went into hospital, and I will tell you the hospital. It is the RNA hospital, the army hospital in Delhi. Deepa Malik went into the hospital in 1999 when her husband Bikram Malik was fighting in the Kargil war. Deepa went in, the doctors diagnosed her and told her that her spinal cord was hanging like a thread, It was that bad. She was given two choices. The first choice was death. If you don't operate, you will die. The second choice, ladies and gentlemen, was you operate. It will be a very critical operation. We don't know if you will live, but if you do live, you will forever be paralyzed. So Deepa Malik came out of the hospital, obviously cried, obviously did whatever each one of us hearing this are feeling, and then over the next 7 days taught herself to lead the life of a paralyzed. Think about it. Taught herself to lead the life of a paralyzed. Simit, can you just stand up once? Stand up. Stand. Stand, stand. Now sit down. Sit down. Anushri, stand up. Stand. Yeah. Now walk 2 steps. Stand, stand. Stand again. Now just come forward 1 step. Yeah, now go back and sit down. Did you see what we just did? I asked Simit to stand up, very natural, he stood up. I asked Anushri to stand up, very natural, she stood up. I asked her to walk a step, she very kindly did that. Deepa Malik 1 week later was going back to hospital, and the doctor told her, "What is your last wish?" And she said, "I will walk into the operation theater." And the doctor was like, "What?" She said, "Yes, I want to walk to the operation theater because this is the last time I will be walking in my life. This is the last time I will be walking in my life." For Anushri and Simit, it was also natural. For Dr. Mathur, Shreya, Ashok, Adya, me, it is also natural. Stand up, walk. Deepa Malik is being told that after this operation, you will never again walk. So she says to the doctor, "I will walk into the operation theater to get myself operated upon." And then she said, "I have one more wish." And the doctor said, "What?" And she said, "I just want to talk to my husband once in Kargil with those walkie-talkies." It was not like us today. It was not like us today that you fat call, video call and all that, 1999. And said, "I just want to check if my husband is alive." So with that walkie-talkie, she said, "Bikram, this is Deepa, over. They are saying I will never be able to walk again, over. They are saying I might die, over." And about 30 seconds later, she hears a crackling voice coming from the other side, which says, "This is Bikram, over. Don't give up on me, over. Even if you don't walk, I will carry you in my arms all my life, over." Deepa Malik goes into the operation theater. 23.5 hours long operation, 183 stitches, 41 days in coma, and she survives. Fast forward 16 years, goes to Rio 2016 Olympics and wins India's first silver medal. Sport. Everything's possible. And in the process, there are multiple different hurdles. Deepa Malik wins a medal in 2016 in shot put. All of us know shot put, right? The ball, iron ball that you throw. Till 2014, Deepa Malik was actually a javelin thrower, like Neeraj Chopra. When she finally heard that her event, the javelin, was not there in the Rio Olympics, she had no other option but in the last 2 years to move from javelin to shot put. She moved from javelin to shot put and thereafter created history by throwing 4.61 meters in Rio at the age of 42. Who says sport is for young people? Who says so? At the age of 42, goes to Rio 2016, creates history for India, wins India's first Paralympic silver medal as a woman. Today is the president of the Paralympic Committee of India, was there in Tokyo when 54 Indian athletes won 19 medals, which was celebrated by our Honorable Prime Minister in a manner that this country has never seen before, thankfully giving a tremendous fillip to Indian sport. That's what sport does. That is exactly what sport does. Unites, galvanizes, teaches you that everything is possible. To the next story. The next story is from my very, very good friend again, Abhinav Bindra. Now, Abhinav Bindra, all of us know, won the first ever gold medal, individual gold medal for India in the Summer Olympics in 2008 at the Beijing Games in shooting, in 10-meter air rifle shooting. That's not the story. The story is, in 2014, Abhinav Bindra retired from active shooting in 2016 after the Rio Olympic Games, where he came fourth. In 2014, I was in Nagpur at an event with Abhinav Bindra. Okay, I was at an event with Abhinav Bindra. He was the keynote. I was supposed to be in conversation with Abhinav Bindra. And all of a sudden, we were sitting next to each other. And chatting before the event. And all of a sudden, his hand started shaking like this. Exactly like this. So if my hand starts shaking like this and I'm sitting next to you, to Dr. Mathur, Shreya, Ashok, Adya, Simit, Anushri, if I start shaking like this, what will you do? You will look at my hand. It's only natural. I started looking at his hand and I was perplexed. What is going on? And he too was conscious. Ki yaar ye to dekh raha hai. Ye Boria to dekh raha hai. Of course I was watching, because his hand was shaking like this. So obviously both of us went into the event, but in our subconscious mind was that little thing that his hand was shaking. The moment the event was over, and I'm conscious of the time, 11:52, I will carry on till 12 and open it up for questions. So the moment the event was over, I looked at Abhinav, he looked at me, and he said to me, come to my room. And I said, okay. So I go to his room and he looks at me and he says, look, you are a friend of mine. That is why I'm sharing this with you. You are not supposed to share this with anybody in the world. I have epilepsy. And I'm like, what? You are a shooter. For a shooter, the primary thing, the most important thing in the world is stillness. Stillness. You have to be spot on still to be able to aim. And here is someone who is telling me that he has epilepsy over which he has no control. So I tell him, so what's the plan? And you want to compete at the Rio Olympics in 2016? Are you serious? And he says to me, yes, I am. I will take medication, I will do everything, and somehow I will compete in the Rio Olympics. Fast forward to the Rio Olympics. Abhinav Bindra was there. Abhinav Bindra made the final with 10 incredible last shots. And he was the only Indian to make the final in the 10-meter air rifle. Now, soon after the preliminaries were over, there is, if you've been to an Olympic Games, you will know, there is a long kind of sitting place where athletes sit, get ready for the final. There's about a 1.5 hour break. And each one of them is given a separate table. They have their separate table where they can keep their ammunition and all of that stuff. Abhinav Bindra went on to sit on his table, and the moment he sat on his table, the damn table broke. He literally fell to the ground. And when he fell to the ground, he was wearing what they call a sighter. It's like a pair of shades, like a pair of glasses, which is tailor-made for that particular range. where the competition is being held. In Abhinav's case, and I can show you photographs, in Abhinav's case, that cider broke and that glasses broke and it all fell on the floor. 45 minutes before the final, the cider that he had readied for 4 years to be able to compete in the Rio Olympic Games had broken. I was there. I looked at him and I was, believe me, stunned and aghast. I'm like, now what? And we had eye contact. And I said, now? And he said, what now? I will go and shoot the final. And I'm like, are you for real? Are you for real? He went and shot the final. And till the 17th shot, there are 20 shots in a final. There are 17, till the 17th shot, he was in the silver medal position. Now comes the final point. Like I told you, in sport, everything's possible. If I ask Dr. Adya now, that Dr. Adya, can you please take out one strand of hair? One strand of hair. Can you please pull out? If she pulls out one strand, she's doing it, check. She's pulling out one strand of hair. One. Can any of us see that? See that from a 10-meter distance? A 10-meter distance is quite a lot, all of us know, right? So if she pulls out, if Dr. Adya pulls out one strand of hair, just holds it like this, can any of us see that? Abhinav lost by 0.1. And I asked Abhinav, he lost the shoot off by 0.1. And I asked Abhinav, I said, what is 0.1 in real life? Can you make me understand? And that's why I go back to Dr. Adya again. If she holds up that one strand of hair, 0.1 is half of that. Half of the tip of that strand of hair is 0.1. So first, think of the tip of that one strand of hair. Tip. Each one of you, take out one strand of hair and take out the tip of that. How much is the tip of one strand of hair? Now think you've lost an Olympic medal by half of that. That's what you've lost an Olympic medal by. What do? You collapse. In Abhinav's case, what did he do? He said, it's life. He said, you win, you fail. You win, you lose. This is life. And he said, now I will go back to India, give my gun to my nephew to shoot balloons. I'm done. I have given everything in the world to my preparation. I have given everything in the world to give myself the best chance and the best opportunity to make India proud at the Rio Olympic Games. I have done everything possible for me to try and excel in a manner that will do well for India. And now I have gone ahead and lost by 0.1, exactly what I just told you. And I can't do more than that. So I have actually done everything in the world possible at my end. Now, if I lose, for that is sport. And the life lesson, which is part of a management lesson, but a far bigger lesson, is you will win far fewer times than you will lose. But that is how life is. It will move on. And sport teaches you that everything is possible, from the good and the bad. Take it in your stride, because nothing stops. Nothing stops. My final story. Neeraj Chopra in Tokyo. Neeraj Chopra, on the eve of the final, he had qualified for the Tokyo, and I was one of the few journalists covering the Neeraj Chopra event in Tokyo. Neeraj Chopra, on the eve of the Olympic final, he had qualified with a throw of 86.5 meters. Obviously was excited and keyed up, and it was one of the last events of the Tokyo Olympic Games on the 7th of August 2021, was in that stadium. Now all of us were like, can we get a medal? Can Neeraj Chopra break that barrier and win India its 7th medal, breaking the London record of 6 and make it the highest ever? Can Neeraj Chopra create history? Can Neeraj Chopra do A, B, C, D, E, F? All of us were thinking these things. So was Neeraj. When he went into the final day of throwing that particular javelin for India, his coach Klaus, his German coach Klaus, who was with him told him two words. Two words, ladies and gentlemen. It's 11:59, so I'm conscious of the clock. His words were, Klaus told him two words to Neeraj Chopra as he was about to throw that javelin to create history for India. And his words were, Maze karo. That's it. Neeraj said, Kya? He said, Maze karo. You've done everything. You've prepared your best. You've given yourself the best chance. You have done everything in the world to belong at this level, at this time, at this place. Now enjoy. That is the final management lesson that sport teaches us all. That it is not necessary to be tense and do whatever we do in our times of challenges. At the end of it all, we have created these challenges for ourselves because we want to excel. So unless you enjoy these challenges, maze karo, there is no point. Neeraj Chopra actually did that. And his hands up in the air, picture postcard for all of India, 87.58 meters and the gold medal. Maze kiya. Each one of you who are part of today's program, please note that ultimately each one of you deserve the happiness that you yourself have created for yourself. Coming out of the challenge and facing that challenge head on. That is the final management lesson that I can talk to you about. I can keep going on and on and on. It's 12:01, I'm 1 minute extra. I'll stop there and open it up for questions.
Thank you so much for all those amazing lessons, Dr. Majumdar. I'm sure all our management students have learned so much. The audience has sent us a lot of questions for you. So, sir, with your permission, I'd like to move on to the question and answer round. And I'll ask the first question from the audience, which is, dealing with public failure is hard because everybody's eyes are on you, and it's difficult for one to have the mental fortitude to deal with it. So, sir, what according to you is the best way to handle failure with grace?
You've just actually answered that question. What is the best way is restraint. If you think that I will be overexcited, I will shout from the rooftop, oh, what happened to me, and I will be the victim always, no point. The point is you have chosen this, right? You have chosen to go to Symbiosis. Face it. You have chosen to be part of today's program. Now, suppose something dramatically bad happens. Face it. Because it is all our choice. Dr. Adi has not told you, Dr. Mathur has not told you, Dr. Tripathi has not told you. None of them have told you. The point is, we are all responsible for the good and the bad that we have chosen for ourselves. So if we fail, it is us. So we take responsibility. When you win, what do? You celebrate. So if you can celebrate, you can mourn. Mourn. Mourn gracefully. Prepare the best. Nothing stops. Today is one competition, tomorrow is another. Nothing stops. A Roger Federer has won 20 Grand Slams. Somebody else has won one. But the attempt is to win 20. The attempt is to win number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Nothing stops. So what you need to inculcate in yourself is the optimism that I will move on to the next challenge. If you are able to do that, you will be able to deal with failure with grace.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. The next question that we have from the audience is, how does one put a boundary around their personal relationships with co-workers in a professional environment?
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Firstly, don't carry work home. Don't carry work home. I mean, all of us do. In COVID times, this is actually the most difficult thing to say or achieve. Because what has happened with virtual is people think you are 24/7 accessible and 24/7 available. With mobile technology and electronic gadgets, so what if it is 12 p.m. at night, one WhatsApp message and Ashok Nambudri has to respond? Don't do it. The one thing is switch off. Nothing comes crashing down. Ting, 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 ting. The WhatsApp keeps coming at night, right? Switch off. You are not Joe Biden and not Vladimir Putin that you are in war. You are not. Don't overestimate yourself that if you don't see WhatsApp at 1 a.m. in the morning, the world will come crashing down. You are not that important. Get your sleep and switch off. If you are able to do that from your workspace and your personal space, trust me, you are fine. Our problem is we are not able to do this switch off. We are constantly in that switched on mode, hooked on. Oh, you know what? If I don't answer this WhatsApp, if I don't do this right at this point in time, the world will collapse. It won't collapse. If I did not turn up for this seminar, what would have happened? Ashok Nambudri would have felt bad. Dr. Mathur would have felt bad. Then somebody else would have replaced me. The world would have moved on. What big deal? That's it. I would have been the stupid one out who has committed and then failed you. That's it. Two people would have said, look how unprofessional he is. Tomorrow, everybody would have forgotten. So it's not important. Let us not bask in this glorified halo that we create around ourselves that we are the be all and end all of the world. We are not. The moment you know that and you are able to switch on, switch off, you are good in a personal and professional environment.
Absolutely, sir. So the next question that we have from the audience is that in sports, winning is often seen as everything, as we've seen in the case of Honorable Aditi Ashok, who came very close to winning a bronze in Olympics in golf. Yet she lost by a very small margin and people are not talking about it that much. So do you think effort should be celebrated more as compared to winning, because it is the journey that matters and not really the destination?
Whoever has asked this question, did he or she know about Aditi Ashok before coming forth? Did he or she follow the journey of Aditi Ashok in the very same manner before she came forth? I don't think so. And by the way, let me tell you this. I was actually standing right opposite Aditi Ashok when she was shooting that final putt in Rio and in Tokyo. So I was standing there. I took a 2-hour bus at 5 a.m. in the morning to go to that remote district place in Tokyo, which was a 2-hour commute from the center of the city to try and go and watch Aditi Ashok in action. The point is, Aditi Ashok was celebrated. Yes, winning and losing is part of it. But think about this. The Rani Rampal led women's hockey team, did they win a medal? They didn't win a medal. Savita Punia, Rani Rampal, all of these girls, when they came back to India, they were felicitated and celebrated in the exact manner that medal winners were. Think about the women's hockey team. Think about what happened with the women's hockey team. They came forth, they did not win a medal. But the country went behind the Rani Rampals of the world in a manner that we have not done before. Hundreds and millions of people and young children want to be the next Rani Rampal because of the effort and the achievement that they put in and coming forth, not winning a medal. When they were coming out, and I'm giving you a personal example, when they were coming out, you know, the fact is, when the women's team was coming out and we were all standing there, and Rani, who's a very close friend of mine, so she came there and we met eye to eye. We created eye contact. And I said, congratulations. And she broke down. When she broke down, and I said, आपने medal नहीं जीता है, but उससे कई ज़्यादा जीत लिया है. आपने देश का सम्मान जीता है और आपने क्रिएट कर दिया है कि सारे जो हमारे देश में यंगस्टर्स हैं जो हॉकी फॉलो करते हैं वो नेक्स्ट रानी रामपाल बनना चाहते हैं. We are all adults. Trust me, we were all crying. Now that for me is nothing less than a medal. Nothing less. And I think that answers your question.
Absolutely, sir. I think that's a lesson for all of us to concentrate on the journey for ourselves as well as others and make that our inspiration. So, sir, we have so many more questions, but I think we have time to take one last question from the audience. So, as you mentioned earlier, that Neeraj Chopra had a lot of expectations on him and he was under a lot of pressure. So, how do we or anybody cope or rather manage the weight of expectations?
Glad you asked that. There are two ways to deal with pressure. And I will give you an example from my friend and an inspiration of my own, Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin says, you can deal with pressure in two ways. One, Pressure is on top of you here. Now, if pressure is here, it will push you down like this, right? So a billion people wanting a lot from you and pushing you down, so you collapse, you succumb, you fail. The other way to deal with pressure is you keep pressure here at the back. Now a billion people start pushing you like this, right? And you start moving forward, not collapse. So don't keep pressure here, keep pressure at the back so that the push is forward. The moment that happens, you make pressure your biggest ally. And the moment you are able to make pressure your biggest ally, you have dealt with pressure in a manner that nothing untoward or nothing bad can happen to you. That is how you deal with pressure. Simple as that. I know it's the last question. I just want to say that I thank Ashok because he was the first one who mentioned this to me. And thereafter, Dr. Mathur, Shreya, all of you have been very kind to have me on your program. Multiple times we exchanged emails and have been in touch. So it's always a pleasure to be part of a program with your esteemed institution and interacting with students, because ultimately it is as an academic and as a scholar, that's where you belong. So once again, my heartfelt gratitude for having me for the last 45 minutes. I hope it has been useful and you enjoyed a little bit of it.
Thank you so much for all your words, sir. I am sure all of us have learned so much, and especially the fact that even the most eminent personalities face so many problems like us. In fact, sometimes bigger than us, and yet it is the attitude and the resolve to overcome such problems that matters the most. Thank you so much again, sir, for sharing such practical insights and lessons with us. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate and all the very best for the rest of the day. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Boria. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.